Now, I've already talked about what I want to see from Hytale, but I think it's just as important to ask about what we don't want to see. So let's get right into it. What's up guys, it's Masood, welcome back to another video. Now before this video starts, I just want to say, hey, my name is Straight Up. I've been covering Hytale every week for the past couple of months, so if you're interested in Hytale at all, be sure to subscribe and, hit that notification bell if you're a real one. Now, starting off with the adventure mode, the first thing I don't want to see is voice acting. Now, I've played a lot of indie story-driven games. Some of them have voice acting and some of them don't. And let me tell you, not having voice acting is completely not a deal breaker. With the art style that Hytale is going for, putting realistic voices on some of them, I just think will completely ruin the immersion. Now, voice acting makes a lot of sense with more realistic games, photorealistic characters and graphics, where the focus of the story is on immersion and creating a realistic world. But with Hytale, we don't need that at all, and I don't think it should be in the game. As well as this, voice acting is kind of a gamble on whether it's good or not. And to avoid that gamble, you can just not have it, which isn't really a downside. Fortunately for us, however, we haven't really seen a voice acting job posting yet, so I think we're in the clear on that front at least. Now, the next thing I don't want to see is overcomplicated progression. For Hytale's adventure mode to keep players coming back, it's going to need some way to allow players to level up their character, get better gear, get better weapons, and explore new areas and crush harder enemies. But they need to do that in a way where the player doesn't get lost. I know stuff like build customization and playstyle is very important, but they need to balance that with just not having too much. Hytale's adventure mode is trying to appeal to a very large audience, but they also need to make it worthwhile for the more hardcore folk. The whole design of progression in Hytale is probably really difficult, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about stuff I would do to it, but I really hope they nail it, and it's not too complicated. Now, kind of on the other end of the spectrum, I don't want the combat to be dumbed down. Although Minecraft's combat sucks, the strength of it is that it is extremely simple. Anyone can understand that the more clicks you do per second, the more likely you are to kill the other player. And as bad as that is, it's simple and accessible and somewhat skill-based. But with Hytale, they have the opportunity to make the combat completely originally and from scratch, so they could take this any direction they want. But I really hope they don't cater to the bottom of the barrel. I really hope it's just as fluid and as fun as possible. One strength that Minecraft's combat has is that it is simple on the surface, but it does have a surprising amount of depth. I hope Hytale can strike a balance with this while also catering to the other playstyles that Minecraft can't. Minecraft have swords and bows, and as much as other servers try to mix and match that with custom items, that's all it really bogs down to. But Hytale will have a ton of weapons, ranging from physical, melee, ranged, and even magic. So managing to make that all accessible for new players, but also deep enough to keep good players around for, say, an esports scene, I think is really important. Hytale's combat should be easy to learn and hard to master, but I don't think it should be dumbed down to cater to the easy. Next up, talking about the more general Hytale space, I think there should be as less friction between platforms as possible, and we know that this has been a focus for Hypixel for the past couple of years, and probably the main contributor to why the game is taking so long. For those of you who don't know, Hytale is coming to mobile, console, and PC, and I think it is really important for a combined player base for there to be little to no friction, and most of this comes on the engine developers. I think part of rewriting the entire engine was to reduce friction between these platforms. I don't think the modding tools will be available on all platforms, and honestly, that's completely fine. All the examples of the tools we've seen have been browser-based actually, which is quite surprising, which leads me to believe that speculation, all the tools will be browser-based, which is amazing for accessibility. But at the same time, mods and servers created with those tools need to be kind of seamless for everyone. You can kind of create a program and it'll just work like that on all platforms. Having as little friction between them is really important. And if I have to wait another year for Hytale to come out, as long as it means there is zero friction, I'm okay with it. Next up, I don't want them to release the adventure mode, release multiplayer, and just say, hey, that's it, we're done, you're not getting any new content. Mod creators, do your thing, make the game for us. No, I don't think that should happen. While mod creators will do incredible things, they can't carry the game on their own. Most of the PvP servers will just take Hytale's base mechanics and just slap those into PvP environments. So actually adding new mechanics to the adventure mode will actually contribute to stuff we see on servers. Not having updates will mean these servers are kind of stuck with new content they'll have to add, and the game will eventually stagnate. So I think just having these systems and designing your game in a way that it actually can be updated, say adding more ultiverses, adding more dungeons, adding more weapons, and adding more areas in Orbis and stuff like that, is very, very, very important. Next up, something I don't want, but something that will probably be added, is mod monetization. In my Hytale monetization video, I talked about how I think Hytale will have a premium currency that can be utilized by server owners and mod creators, but I don't want mods to be monetized. I think servers being monetized, honestly, is completely great. Allowing server owners to make money kind of adds competition and forces people to innovate with the space, and it allows them to actually get the resources required to make those servers great in the first place, making massive events and giving lots of content to players. Not allowing server owners to monetize will massively hurt the game. Whether or not Hypixel decides to integrate server monetization in the game or not, server owners will do it anyway, and Hypixel won't be able to take a cut, which will really hurt Hytale's future. But on the mod side, mods are just worse with mods. All you get is just lazy stuff that's hyping on trends, stolen assets, and all that sort of thing. It just becomes really lazy and bad. Free mods come from people who, with passion for the game, who make mods and new experiences because they want to, but adding a profit incentive kind of might ruin the whole thing. I honestly believe that mods in-game will be monetized, but even if they are, I don't want them to be. I think that will make the mods worse and less accessible. While the servers will probably be free to play with microtransactions, having to pay to play mods, I honestly think will really hurt their growth. And while I do think they will be monetized, I just don't want them to be. Anyways guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy. Leave a like if you liked it, leave a dislike if you disliked it, subscribe for more Hytale, and thanks for watching. Tap out. Peace.